Many thanks for making a day today on the marketplace with me, Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe. Now, let's start with the very first story. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana would be meeting today to review developments in the economy. Top on the agenda include coming up with interventions aimed at reducing impact of coronavirus on the economy and the banking sector. On other things to expect, there's more in the following report by JoyNews.
It is not clear for now the specific interventions that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana will be deliberating on, but in an earlier communication, the regulator noted that the measures will be aimed at mitigating the impact of the coronavirus on the financial sector as well as the broader economy. We are not sure that the Bank of Ghana might look at a policy rate cut from the current 16% to help stimulate growth, or want to explore other monetary measures that would ensure the business confidence and growth are not affected badly. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is expected to end its meeting this Friday and announce those interventions on Monday, March 23. The committee would also look at what measures can be taken to strongly stabilize the Ghana cedi after its sharp appreciation from January this year was halted as some offshore investors got out of our bonds and invested in gold to help deal with the uncertainty that the coronavirus has brought to the global economy. Regulators and central bank governors around the world have announced several stimulus packages to contain the situation. Therefore, many will be looking forward to see what the Bank of Ghana will be doing for Ghanaian businesses and industries going forward.
Meanwhile, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government is anticipating significant shortfalls in its revenue projections this year as a result of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. He told Parliament on Tuesday petroleum revenue, tourism and foreign direct investments will all be affected. According to Mr. Ofori-Atta, government will turn to the Stabilization Fund as well as support from the World Bank and other sources to fill the anticipated funding gap.
Of the coronavirus are still unfolding. Preliminary analysis undertaken by the ministry shows that the coronavirus will impact negatively on petroleum receipts due to the collapse of international crude oil prices, customs receipts, other receipts, expenditures, especially health-related, and financing conditions on the fiscal fronts. More generally, it is affecting tourism, hotels, travel, and conferences, FDI, international trade, food and nutrition, and poverty reduction programs. Mr. Speaker, measures are being put in place to close a possible financing gap in the 2020 budget that could result from the impact of the coronavirus. These measures may include withdrawal from the Ghana Stabilization Fund occasioned by anticipated shortfalls in the ABFA. We'll come to this August House to seek for the necessary approvals when it's necessary in due course. We are currently in discussion with the World Bank to tap into a 12 billion World Bank Group fast-track COVID-19 facility to help close the financing gap. In addition, we are discussing with the IMF to access part of a 10 billion facility made available by the IMF to address coronavirus through the Rapid Credit Facility. We are also discussing with other multilateral and bilateral partners on potential assistance to close the financing gap. But Mr. Speaker, even in the difficult global circumstances, Ghana is blessed. Mr. Speaker, this Honorable House granted approval to raise $3 billion from the Eurobond market for 2020. The ministry worked tirelessly and successfully raised $3 billion at the best rates in our history. Mr. Speaker, the capital market has since collapsed, and we thank God for his guiding presence for the timely issuance of our Eurobond, which has provided the necessary buffers to support the economy in these grave times. Mr. Speaker, we continue to believe that our land will indeed be healed. We are confident that with our President's vision and leadership, as well as our discipline as a nation and God's guiding hands, He shall spare us and prosper us even in these trying times. Mr. Speaker, on the update on the financial sector cleanup, in December.
Well, let's get some more on this from economist Courage Marty, who joins us via phone. Courage, welcome to the market, please.
Having me, ma.
Hello, Courage.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Now, do you think we
sure.
have the fiscal space to absorb the shocks from the coronavirus outbreak?
Well, it's near zero space for additional shocks, because already we've been grappling with our ability to meet our normal fiscal operations. And government, remember, in 2017 had to introduce some capping mechanism to ensure that they got some space to be able to do other fiscal operations. So with this kind of shock, it's near impossible to continue to run fiscal operations as normal or as usual. And so we would have to adopt other mechanisms, which would not be conventional mechanisms, by the way, and that would help support fiscal operation going into the year. I think there are measures that have been provided in law and as well as external support. We know the Ghana Stabilization Fund, which was established under the Petroleum Revenue Management Law. We know that this helps the country manage unexpected shocks when they come up at times like this. I think it was deployed in 2016 when oil price collapsed to the 40s. Now we are seeing oil prices in the 20s, and so I believe it is time to also tap the stabilization fund. How much do we have in that fund versus how much of a shortfall we expect in revenue? We reach the conclusion that even the stabilization fund, tapping into it, will not be sufficient to close the gap that we have to fund. And so we would have to rely on external support, development partners, the IMF, to also step in with their rapid credit facility that they make available for us in times like this.
What are the options of cutting down on our objectives that have been outlined in the budget?
Well, yes. I mean, we will also have to look at our expenditure, basket, and look at how we can get rid of non-critical expenditure. And it will not be the only country, if we have to do that, we will not be the only country to do that. Nigeria has also announced that they would be getting rid of non-critical expenditure to be able to cope with the situation, because in the budget for Ghana, we assumed $58 per barrel for crude oil. And now we are doing significantly less than that, more than 50% below that level. So we would have to get rid of that. The problem, however, is that if you add non-discretionary expenditure like employee compensation, like interest commitment, like statutory allocations, you are getting close to 70 to 80% of our total revenue. And that means that the non-discretionary, the discretionary aspect of our expenditure is very limited in that regard. And so funding gaps will still be created, which will require additional borrowings of the sort.
All right, now, it is obvious that there will be some kind of recession globally because of this outbreak of the coronavirus. Now, how should we position ourselves to be able to stay within this particular development?
Well, you would need policies that would be proactive. You would need policies that would be unconventional, right? Because we are not in normal times. So your normal conventional fiscal and monetary policies may not give you the full results that you need at this time. And normally when you look at the whole economy and you dissect it into 4 quadrants or sectors, you notice that we have the fiscal sector to deal with, we have the monetary sector to deal with, we have the real sector to deal with, and we have the external sector to deal with. In the real sector, we are likely to suffer shocks from, say, trade, we suffer shocks from tourism, we suffer shocks from transport. And then in the external sector, particularly through the portfolio account as well as the balance of payments, we also have to suffer some shocks, potential outflows. Now, when you go, of course, we've discussed the fiscal sector, then you will now need monetary policy to stimulate economic activity. But in doing that, you risk foreign portfolio disturbance or shocks. How then do you deal with that? Would you have to now inject more currency? Would you have to apply some capital flow restrictions in the interim to be able to ensure that the shocks are minimized? You will need unconventional policies. And so
right.
I think that the task now is to look at unconventional policies to tackle the issues.
And lastly, before you go, what are the call for a stimulus package for businesses, especially small-scale businesses?
Of course, it is a call in the right direction, right? Because, again, those days of sweeping or wholesale implementation of policies would no longer work now. You need to target particular industries that are most vulnerable in times like this. And so you need to ensure that your policies are even more targeting now. And so you need deeper and more critical analysis. Is it the health sector that you need to target? Is it the trade? Is it manufacturing? I think this is a time where we need manufacturing, we need agro and the value chain along the agro business line, so that we can be able to produce enough for self-sufficiency in order to ensure that the external constraints do not limit domestic economic activity and consumption. So we need to target agri and the value chain. We need to target other manufacturing. We need to target health sector as well.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Courage Mate is an economist with Data Bank. The Registrar General's Department says it has made provision to secure the large number of people entering its premises to access various services. Public Relations Officer of the Department, Constance Techi, urged the public to cooperate with officials to enhance safety standards. She has been interacting with my colleague, Odilia Ntiamwa.
The Registrar General receives at least about 300 people in a day doing various forms of registrations, the business, marriage, and the list is unending. And so they will have to protect themselves as they were not struck out of the institutions that couldn't meet as a result of their huge numbers. They decided to fix this to make sure that people actually are able to really wash their hands, clean themselves up before transacting business in there. As the public relations person has already said, they have also decided to reduce the numbers in there by taking out chairs and also asking people to simply just go online to do their registration. So we're going in there to see how things are panning out.
Yeah, in the next 2 months, the projections and all that. This place and the numbers that troop in daily is crazy. And so trying, I don't know, because it's a new issue to people's response to even the measures that we are putting in place is been very negative. They want the usual way of doing things, of where they will just walk in and see whoever they want to see or transact whatever transaction they have to go on. But we want to protect the lives of our staff as well as the clients who also come in here. That is why we have provided the hand washing stand outside for every member, both staff and clients, to wash their hands before they even enter the front office. We've also moved, if you've ever been here, you know that the frontage have, very large number of chairs and, so to contain the huge numbers. We've moved the chairs, majority of the chairs outside. And then so that we have the very minimal numbers at the frontage at a point in time. In the mornings is quite easy to regulate the numbers, but because in the afternoon between 12, 11 and 3 o'clock, they just come in droves. That is where the challenge is. And then they do not want to comply with the directive of not, these are not ordinary times where you just want to come in and do, they just don't want to comply. But
Now, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, yesterday suspended all cruise vessels from entering Ghanaian waters and docking at the seaports. This is aimed at ensuring the spread of the pandemic COVID-19 is controlled. Manager in charge of marketing and corporate affairs at GPHA, Esther J.B. Donko, who spoke with Joy Business, said the directive has been communicated to all stakeholders at the ports. Ebenezer Sabute has more on this in this report.
With immediate effect, all vessels coming to Ghana, except cargo vessels, will have to return to the port of sale. The temporal suspension, according to the head of corporate affairs at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Esther Donko, move will help control a further spread of the COVID-19.
For the vessel, we can say that what we have, we are sending out actually today is the cruise ship, the crew vessels. We are suspending crew vessels because they come with a lot of people, and then normally they have to be buzzed by travel and tour agencies to go to various sites. So we are suspending the crew vessels. As for the cargo vessels, we have not taken any action on their suspension yet. What we are doing with them is what I said. their quarantine and anchorage, we did that. Then, apart from the vessel part, we are also suspending tours to our port. We have a lot of school children and organizations and clubs and associations visiting our port on daily basis. There are so many. So with immediate effect, we have also suspended those kind of tours to our port.
She also highlighted measures being employed by the authority to prevent suspected cargo vessels from entering the port.
All the vessels coming, we have the quarantine anchorage, where you will not come into port proper. You'll be at anchorage for the necessary checks to be done before.
Is it a dedicated anchorage area?
Yes. It's a dedicated anchorage area.
And it's purposely for the virus kind of.
Yes, it wasn't built purposely because we couldn't have built a different anchorage here, but we have segmented an area. We put them there. We do everything, and then before we are okay, then the vessel can come to port. There's nothing that you were doing, but just that the vessel there will be isolated. We clear you before the next one comes to.
Meanwhile, trading at the port is expected to decline as a result of the outbreak of COVID-19.
Now, CEO of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Aboagye-Wiafe, says the association has asked its members to ensure safety standards amidst the COVID-19 outbreak in Ghana. He tells Joy Business all members have been directed to acquire personal protective equipment as part of special safety standards, which will roll out on Friday.
It was yesterday that we had a document written to that effect, which we have circulated to all our OMCs for compliance. And because we identify areas where we are susceptible to these viruses, so at the retail outlets, holding the pump, the dispenser, and even the cover of the client's fuel tank, is something which moves from one person to the other. So we drafted something for them to use. It's left for us to monitor. And normally we do that, we give them about 2 days for them to acquire their logistics. It includes the PPEs, and that takes a little bit of time for them to acquire. So by Friday, we'll start doing some audit on them.
Fuel prices have plummeted. It's actually like today, the last time I checked was $29. How are you bracing yourself? You've had a lot of backlash from last week for reduction. The pricing window opened, closed on the 16th. Some complied, they've reduced, but it looks like the thing is still going down.
Yeah, it's going down. I mean, it's normal with this industry. The biggest upset we have is when will it go up, and that's where the issue is. And I've seen this barrel go down to $18 before, and we just have to go with the flow. And if you see the OMCs, the market is responding. The prices are going now, as we indicated in our press statement. The only thing, like I said, is where it stops, which is difficult to predict. And if it's really related to this coronavirus, obviously, the moment a cure is found, the market will react. So it's okay. We are in it. There's nothing we can do for now.
It's eroding your profits, and that doesn't mean that it's just going to go back to the consumer again?
Basically, it's when it's going up when it's tight. Now, we believe our members are up to scratch. They put in their costs properly, their margins properly.
Meanwhile, aviation marketing companies are expected to take a hit as international airlines decide to temporarily suspend flights due to the spread of the novel coronavirus. Beyond the outbreak, airport authorities, including the Ghana Airport Company Limited, have begun enforcing travel bans. The chief executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Aboagye-Wiafe, says is going to affect the bottom line.
The other side of it is the aviation fuel that we supply. It's going to go drastically down. We know these aircrafts, About 40 to 45% of their cost is on aviation fuel. Now, if you are coming to Ghana with a capacity side of 300 passengers and you're coming with 80 or less or canceling your flights, what it means is that they cannot refuel in Ghana. And that becomes a concern to us. Because over the past year, aviation fuel has been going up. In fact, it was gradually becoming a hub for refueling. It used to be Senegal. They would beat them to it. Nigeria came in, they couldn't stand. So this West Africa area, Kotoka has been a refuel point. And now if you're going to have this issue, it's going to really affect us. We hope it doesn't really go on for a long haul. If it's a short-term fine, we can deal with it. It goes a long haul. It means all the investment we have made in aviation, it's huge investment we made in aviation fuel. See the depots we have there, it's all going to go to naught. Because the domestic travels is not that much. We don't pick that much for domestic. But normally the international flights, we tend to consume a lot of aviation fuel. So it will be a great concern to us.
It's live on the marketplace. We're taking a short break here. We'll be right back after this. You're welcome back. Now, as part of its contribution to help combat the coronavirus outbreak in Ghana, Enterprise has extended some support to the Ghana Health Service, the Noguchi Memorial Institute, and the Ridge Hospital. These are in the forms of cash donations and insurance policies. According to Chief Financial Officer of Enterprise Insurance, Daniel Labiteku, fervent action needs to be taken to manage the spread of the virus.
The nature and spread of the coronavirus places a responsibility on all individuals and corporate bodies to help in the fight against the spread of the virus. Chief Financial Officer of Enterprise Insurance, Daniel Labiteku, says this is having a negative impact on human health across the continent and needs urgent attention.
We have put in place life insurance cover for the Ghana Health Services, for all their frontline staff. Including doctors, nurses, and all other support staff who help to manage the pandemic.
In Business on the Marketplace, many thanks for joining me. My name is Aboagye-Wiafe. For more business, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good afternoon.